Good afternoon and welcome to Paylocity's end-to-end payroll system webinar for ARC clients. We're really excited to have with us a couple of folks from Paylocity. They're going to do a demo of their system. We have Kristen and Jim. Just a few housekeeping items. First off, if you have any questions, there's a question box in the menu. It looks like this on the right-hand side of the screen. You can put your questions in there. I'm going to be monitoring it. So Jim and Kristen, I hope you're okay if I pop in with a question if somebody has one. And we can also wait to answer questions at the end. This is me in case you need to get in touch with me. I work with all of the client advisors across our company, and a lot of them are, terrific. They can connect you with Paylocity if you want to talk to them later, or have a one-on-one, talk about your specific situation and see if it's a good fit for you. We'll hook you up with them. Just a reminder that the SACA plan has a 401k pooled employer plan. It's a PEP. We love our acronyms in this business, and this is no different. It's similar to, if you're familiar with the MIWA that SACA and COSI have. This is that same type of plan for 401k. And so it gets you out of a lot of the administrative costs and the types of evaluations you have to do when you introduce a 401k plan. So it's a nice, easy way to put one in, and they can do a group down to one. If you're not signed up for our monthly newsletter, please let us know. We'd love to get you on that mailing list. A lot of compliance updates come out on that. And, we have very timely articles about what's changing in the marketplace, just to keep tabs on what's going on, and also events like this. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen and to Jim. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, everybody. Let me go ahead and share my screen for everybody so that we can get right into it. And let me see.
I think I got it.
Okay.
There you go.
Beautiful. And I am just going to flip over this share to my screen. Oh, can you guys see my Paylocity page here?
We're seeing the demo platform, the home platform.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. I just want to make sure I had the right thing showing. It looked like it did, but great. All right, well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to jump on with us and just kind of take a look at Paylocity. Today, we are going to be going through kind of like the overall like base platform, a couple of the HR tools that we include for all of our clients and things like that. But of course, as Kim had mentioned, she's going to be kind of manning the chat. So if there's any questions, of course, feel free to ask away. We want to make sure that this time is productive for you and that you're getting your questions answered here as well. So with that being said, I'll kind of jump right into it. And today we're going to talk through starting with the employee self-service and when you log into Paylocity. So what you're seeing here is my home screen for my fake company, which is the Garner Group. And so with that being said, we can always customize this to whatever your company logo is, whatever you would like to be showing here. It'll show your personal company information. Everything at the top here that you're seeing, these little icons, those are going to show no matter what level of access you have in the system. So whether you're an administrator, supervisor, or an employee, you're going to have access to all of those top icons. One of the things that is unique about Paylocity is that we are all one system. So everything you're going to see in the software today has been built and developed by our software engineers. So nothing is really bolted and tacked on. And you'll kind of see as we go through the software, things kind of tend to look very similar in certain places and other places as well. And that's because it is that one system that was continuously built. With that being said, it also gives you a little bit of control, or I should say additional control, over what you want your people to see. So if you were a client that wanted to move over to Paylocity, you can really tell us, hey, this is what I want my employees to have access to. This is what I want my supervisors to have access to, and different levels of administrator as well. And we can go ahead and custom add that access so that they're seeing exactly what you want, nothing more, nothing less. With that being said, I'll kind of show you this top dash here. So right now I'm logged in as Emily Alba, who's my company administrator in my company. So she can see absolutely everything in the organization. However, we certainly don't want employees being able to process their own payroll. So that would not be good. So that is where we have that custom access that is, you can customize the user access yourself, and we can help set that up for you as well, for all clients coming over. So you've got that. Regardless, everybody's got this help icon on the side here. And you'll notice when I click that, I get several different options here where I can go to our knowledge base, walkthrough guides, self-service, and mobile. With Paylocity, we do offer you training on the system end to end. So whatever piece that you want employees to get comfortable with, it might just be as simple as downloading the mobile app, or it might be even so far as like getting into a specific part of the system, like recruiting or onboarding and how to use those pieces. The system will continuously give you training options to walk through, and those are good for the life of your account for administrators, supervisors, and all employees. You'll also see that you have the ability to give product feedback. One thing that is great about Paylocity is that every year we put about 15 to 16% of our revenue back into development to the software, which compared to our competitors is kind of low single digits. So we're very proud of that high investment there. This past year was 15.9%. And what we get with that is that a lot of times we see our clients as co-creators of our software who can really help us build out the things that they want to see in the future in their HRIS system, and then our new clients will find value in that as well. So as we go through the software today, I'll show you guys a couple pieces of the software that have literally been created solely off of client request and client feedback. And so you'll kind of get to see some of that stuff live in action. But just wanted to show you the support that you get there before we kind of dive into it. So over here, I've got my basic company screen here. I've got a platform called Community. Community is basically like a company bulletin board gone virtual. So a lot of our clients have asked us for a place to have streamlined and simple communication to where they have one place where they can get everything out to all of their employees, and all of their employees know what's going on in the organization at all times. So that's really what Community is for, and we'll kind of dive into that here. We also have Impressions, also built by customer requests. So customers were asking us, hey, I would love to have a portion of the platform that was good for peer-to-peer feedback or peer-to-peer recognition or supervisor-to-peer recognition. So we built out this recognition point in the software for that reason, so that you have a place to tie that into overall performance. Very simply, we have an org chart. This is great when you're running into a meeting and you've had changes in the organization, making sure you have that available. We've got a people directory. So if you have a new person and you're like, oh, I don't have their number and I need to give them a call, you've got that information right there. The last one is optional, whether you want to share it with all employees or just a few, but you do have the option to record and edit videos in our system. This can be great for, maybe posting to community instead of doing a written out update of the company. Maybe you take a short 1-minute video. I know for me personally, I'm more likely to click on a video than I am to read a block of paragraphs, right? So just kind of makes that process a little bit easier. You can also use it for your recruiting processes. Hey, this is what we're looking for in an ideal candidate, or things like that. So you can use it across the software. Additionally, I've went ahead and put in my own company links and company video. So this can be totally customizable to you on your homepage. As an employee and a supervisor, I can see everything that I have to do here. One of the things that's really nice about Paylocity's system, we don't require you to have multiple logins when you are an administrator and an employee. You're just going to have one seamless login because we understand that you're both at the same time and you shouldn't have to kind of toggle between two accesses. So all of your to-dos as an employee or as a supervisor or an administrator, it's all going to be right here. If you'd like to clock in and out of the system, you have that ability here. You can see I'm clocked in. I can just click clock out and it'll give me that green success bar right at the top here. Can track my time off here, certainly. We can do accruals, banks, really whatever PTO requirements you have. And you can have as many buckets as you'd like. You can label them whatever you'd like. So a lot of flexibility around there. You can kind of see the check detail, important announcements. And then of course you can customize some additional tabs down here. For me personally, I've added some career tabs, some benefits tabs, and some employment tabs as well. Before I move forward, I just kind of want to take a quick pause. Any questions in the chat that might have come up or anything I can answer here directly?
No questions so far.
Okay, pretty straightforward so far, right? So I'll kind of dive right into it. Up at the top, I've got my HR and payroll tab. Of course, for me, I've got everything turned on for demo purposes. But when you partner with Paylocity, it will only show the products that you decide you want to move forward with, which I personally think is nice because it avoids that awkward conversation of, hey, why can't I access this part of the software? You know, so we'll customize this for you. But I'll kind of dive in and go from like an employee life cycle standpoint, and we'll go ahead and kind of start in our onboarding here. So we certainly have a recruiting tool in the system. So if you have, you know, a company website that you're recruiting from, you're posting to multiple job boards, things like that, we do have the ability to pull that all back to one place where you can seamlessly manage it. But I know a lot of folks on the call were interested in onboarding, so I'll kind of dive into it from there and go ahead and click on onboarding here. So whether you have our recruiting or not, you can still use onboarding with us. And this is basically a great way to take those onboarding tasks and instead of saying, hey, welcome to the company, here's a handful of paperwork to fill out on your first day, we can give them a virtual option that they can do either on the desktop like this, or they are welcome to complete this on their phone as well, which I know for me was really great when I was starting at Paylocity, because we do use our own software as well. It was great for me because I was traveling and I was able to go ahead and take a picture of my social security card, you know, take a picture of my driver's license and all those things that are required versus having to bring that into an office just to take it back home with me. So for that reason, you can do it on the mobile, can also do it here. As an administrator, I'm kind of seeing the administration side of this. I can manage all of my applicants in one place. So in this case, I've only got one, but maybe you have multiple people that you're hiring at the same time. This allows you to keep track of the progress, how much has this new hire completed, and also be able to seamlessly manage everybody in one place altogether. So I'll show you kind of what this looks like. If I don't have recruiting, if you do have recruiting, the candidate would seamlessly flow over. But if you don't have recruiting with us, you can create the employee right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and add their basic information, you know, first name, last name. What do I want their username to be in the software? Email, phone number, all that kind of good stuff. When I want them to start. Down here, I can load their personal information. Again, if they came over from recruiting, we already have their address and all that kind of good stuff from their resume. So that's just going to flow over. Candidate's not going to have to enter that again. You're not going to have to enter that again because we want to eliminate dual entry as much as possible in our system. Additionally, you're going to be able to put in what's, you know, who's their supervisor, what cost centers are they going to be working in. We'll put in your custom cost centers and so that everything flows the way that you want it to look and matches up to your GL seamlessly. What position are they going to take? And then finally, probably more important out of all the information, what are we going to pay this person and on what basis, right? Are we doing a salary, hourly, what's their pay grade, all that kind of stuff, and kind of get that loaded in there. Once you have all this information, we can go ahead and assign a new hire packet to this person. So I'm going to launch what we call an event packet to this new hire. Basically what an event packet is your virtual onboarding packet of all the information that you need from that new hire. And that obviously might look different depending on what new hire you're hiring and what part of the organization that they are going to. So you might have somebody that's a rehire that's administration only. Maybe you have an international employee. you need E-Verify, or maybe it's a rehire. These are just a couple examples, but depending on which one I click, I'm going to get my own custom set of requirements based on what I want to be in the system. So you tell us how many steps that you'd like us to have, and we will build those out for you so that each candidate going through that packet is going to have the same process throughout. Once I do that, I can choose the employees, and then I can go ahead and launch that packet there. Basically, where that's going to bring me is back to my home page here. Sorry, let me go ahead and get back to there. Okay. Once I get back to my home page here, I'm going to see everybody in process. If I want to click on an individual employee and see what the progress is, I can just click on their packet right here. So I get a high level view here that I've got 16 steps and my candidate hasn't done anything on it yet. And if I want to see detail, I can go ahead and click here. I can click when they started it, and then I've got their expected start date here as well. So we've got a little time for this person. So I'm going to go ahead and click in and see where we're at. Of course, at the top, we can customize this to your logo. And then on the side, we can keep it as basic or as personalized as you'd like. So for me, I've got a very basic, hey, congrats on your new position. Let's go ahead and get started with paperwork. But maybe you would like to include more information. You can include videos here, maybe like a video from the CEO or CFO. Hey, we're so excited you joined our company. Maybe it's a video from their new manager, a picture of the team that they're going to be on, where to park, what to wear. You know, I feel like business casual is getting ever so complex lately. So defining what that looks like so that they can really be prepared for their first day and know what to expect. So we can do this all here. Of course, on the side here, I've got some things that I need to enter. Certainly don't want the new hire entering their pay rate. But then I also have additional things that I need them to fill out. So their home contact info, their direct deposit information, emergency contact info, all that kind of good stuff. The one thing that I absolutely love about our system that I find slightly underrated for our folks in Ohio and Kentucky is that we have this amazing thing called local taxes. And it can be kind of difficult for new hires to know what local taxes apply to me, you know, what school district, all that kind of good stuff. So within our tax portion of the software, it does have the ability to take the person's work location, take the person's home location into account, and figure out what taxes need to be paid by the employer and also the right taxes for the employee as well. The other benefit for that on the employer side is that if you don't have that tax code set up today in Paylocity, we will let you know, the system will let you know, this tax code is not currently set up, and it will send you a link to send to our service team to go ahead and get that tax code set up for you so that you're never out of compliance from a tax standpoint on those beautiful local taxes that we have. With that, I just threw a whole lot at you guys, so I do want to take another pause. Any questions so far on the onboarding piece?
No questions.
Okay, sounds good. With that, I'm going to go back to the main dash and let you know about a little secret that we have here. Throughout the system, you have the ability at the top to click reports and analytics. Now here in onboarding, for example, I've got an I-9 log, so it's going to keep an idea of, hey, do we have everybody's I-9 information? And then if we have some employees who have been with us a while and that information has expired, can we get a new I-9 verification here if needed? But you can also click reporting on any tab, and it's going to take you directly to the reporting dashboard that we'll go over in a little bit here. So with that, with no questions so far, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the time and labor side of things. So now I'm a new employee, I've been onboarded, and I need to clock in and out. So we can clock in and out from our home screen. As you saw, we can clock in and out from clocks as well. We certainly have a lot of clock options if that's something that you are still interested in wanting to keep with your organization. But maybe I have some employees or all of my employees that are able to also punch in and out from the mobile phone. So I wanted to show you what that looks like here. With Paylocity, we do have the ability to do geofencing. So we have an integration with Google Maps that basically makes it seamless to say where we want people to be allowed to punch in and out of the system You certainly don't have to use geofencing, but it is kind of a little nice touch just to make sure that somebody isn't, clocking in and out on their way to Starbucks or in the parking lot or something like that. So I can punch in here. It's going to show exactly where this person's punching in. It's not going to let them know if they're inside or outside of the geofence, but you will know if they're inside or outside of the geofence and they're clocking in the right place. So once I have this, I can go ahead and submit my punch. You can require a photo if you'd like of the location. What I think is so hilarious about this sample picture that we use is that there's like no descriptors of like where this girl is and like how her face is covered. But if you would like employees to take a more specific photo, maybe you have people in sales or maybe in service who are going out to client sites and you want a picture of them in front of the building with the client's name on the building or whatever it may be, you can absolutely require that. You can also ask questions before clocking in or as somebody is clocking out as well. So I know that a lot of the COVID questioning and things like that are starting to fade, but you can add your own questions here. I have one client that is a very energetic, very excitable lady, and she likes to add in here, are you ready to make today a great day? So it can be as cheesy as that or, whatever you need. But also on the way out, something to keep in mind, you can kind of track, hey, how was your day today? Was it great? Was it not? Things like that. I do have some clients that will say, hey, any injuries today, any uncomfortable pain or anything like that people can track as well. So this can be as trackable as you would like, but I'm going to go ahead and select no to all of these, and then it'll let me know that my punch has been submitted. I've got a punch history here, and then what does that look like on the supervisor side? So I'll kind of show you what that looks like in our time and labor right here.
And
so,
Kristen, if I can interject while you find this, something that came up with a prospect that I'm in process with now, they had asked for those geofencing profiles. We know that some people maybe have multiple work locations they have to go to. We can assign multiple profiles of areas that someone can clock into and coordinate it so the system knows on this day they should be clocking in from here, and it gives them drop-down options to clock into the appropriate location.
Absolutely. That is a great call out. And you can also decide who you want to be geofenced and not. Maybe you have some people that you're like, hey, I'm okay with you clocking in wherever. And then other people you want to be more specific. Of course, that kind of comes with that custom tailoring and custom security roles that we kind of talked about at the beginning as well. So up at the top here, you'll see these top dials. I call these info tiles, but it just kind of gives you a high level view of the business. And as the company administrator, I can see all 165 of my employees, but of course, supervisors will be able to see their people only, kind of so on and so forth from there. But I can see any time card corrections that I need to take care of. You can also do this through the mobile phone. You've got your employee dash, so you can see where everybody is, who's punched in, who's punched out. Address any pending time off requests. You can do this through the mobile as well. If you have attendance points or you're thinking of using attendance points, just know that is something that we can work with inside the system. And you might notice this little thing of invalid terminal punches. So one thing that I really love about our system as a whole is that, yes, we will give you the power to give employees responsibility and empower them with things like a geofence, but the system is also going to give you fully trackable results on the other side of it. To basically say, if we have somebody who's punched outside of the geofence, maybe they're punching in at Starbucks or they're punching in that parking lot, it will reject that employee's punch. So it will let that employee know that they are not punched in because they are outside of the area where they're available to punch in. However, sometimes we have those employees who maybe skirt the rules a little bit and they'll say things like, I did punch in. Well, this invalid terminal punch gives you that trackable ability to say, hey, it looks like you tried to punch in, but you punched in at the wrong place. We noticed you were in the Starbucks parking lot when you tried to punch in. So it gives you that backup and that recordable information in there as well. Additionally, I can click the punch map up top, and I can do this for any employee, and it will show you where they punched in specifically and all that kind of detail. So if you have somebody that, hey, you can punch in from anywhere, but I do want to take a look and make sure they're punching in the right places, we do give you that full trackability right there as well. If I go to the insights page, it's going to go ahead and give me information on real-time insights of what's my usage, what's my hours, what are my scheduled hours, what's my variance. You'll see I have a pretty big variance because I have scheduled hours and I have nobody clocking in and out of my system. But obviously your variance wouldn't be as high, but it'll kind of give you an idea of scheduled versus actual hours if scheduling is something that you want to use with us. Speaking of scheduling, we do have schedules available in the system. You can set up schedules on a reoccurring basis, or you can set new schedules every single week. You do have ability to copy and paste schedules week over week, so they're just continuously going for you, and you can add shifts as needed. So I've kind of pulled up my schedule here. You can build your schedules on whatever basis you'd like. So you can do it by location, position, really whatever you need. But for here, I've done it by all of my active employees in the system. So you'll notice I have some grayed out schedules. Those are things that just constantly roll over for me. So for example, Able is always going to work from 10 to 7, Sunday through Wednesday. That's a set schedule. But I also have the ability to move certain schedules as needed or add additional shifts as I need as well. So I can go ahead and add the times that I want these to start. I can add a lunch or a break whenever I need. And again, I've got those custom division branch departments that I can go ahead and pull down. And you'll notice for these top 3, I only have one option. And that's because Able is only qualified to work in these 3 areas. He can't work anywhere else. As I get to the job, he has multiple places and programs that he can be working on. But I did also want to show you guys the different program numbers and project numbers. These are just some examples that I've built into the system, but kind of show you as a whole that if you need, to track hours from a job costing perspective or something like that, that's certainly something you can do in our system right here. With that, you can add shift notes if you'd like, and then employees are able to put in their favorite shifts. Hey, these are the normal times where I like to work. Certainly don't have to honor those if you don't want to, but gives them the ability to say, hey, here's when I like to be working. If employees are unavailable at certain times, let's say maybe you have some part-time employees that, are going to school at the same time or things like that, they can put in times that they're not available. And if you'd like to honor that, you can make it so that no one can schedule a shift over those times that they're unavailable. So whether you honor that or not, again, we leave that up to you, but you do have the ability to have that there. Once I've gone ahead and make these changes, I can go ahead and publish. And then again, I will have the ability as an employee to get a notification that the schedule is published, and I can view my schedule right here. I can see my team schedule, and if you give me the ability, I have the ability to shift swap with some friends as well. So maybe I'm unavailable to work on a day that I was scheduled, or I have something fun that I want to do. I can go ahead and request, hey, Jim, could you take my shift for me? Could we swap shifts? Jim could say, yep, that works for me. He can accept that shift. And under supervisor approval, we can swap that shift. So it works for me, works for Jim. Additionally here, I can track my availability. So I'm unavailable weekly on Mondays from 9 to 12. So in this case, I would never be scheduled during that time. Any questions on, the total scheduling, time and labor, any of that kind of good stuff before I get into time cards specifically?
No questions so far.
Okay, quiet group. I'm getting through this a lot quicker than I thought. All right, well, we saw how to punch in and punch out. So what does that look like from an overall timesheet perspective? Well, if you give employees the ability, they can access their timesheet here. They can make edits to the timesheet, or it can be edits only on a supervisor basis. I leave that decision up to you, but I have the ability to add to my timesheet and view my timesheet and go ahead and submit it for approval on my phone here. So maybe I missed a punch for whatever reason, hey, sorry, I actually got in at 9, but I forgot to clock in until 10. I can go ahead and make those edits and send that to my supervisor. From there, I can go into my time card approvals as a supervisor, and I can see all of my employees who need the time card approvals, and it'll give me specific warnings if somebody's out of the range for whatever reason. So you'll notice that Emily Alba is outside of the range for overtime. you know, Fabian is outside of the range because he's got a little bit too many hours, so on and so forth. A great example of this could be if you have a part-time employee who's working full-time hours, that could be a sign for concern. Again, I don't have to address that concern. The system is just going to let you know, hey, this is a little outside of the normal scope for this employee. It'll go ahead and allow me to address the time card right there. I can see all of the detail for it, and then I can go ahead and make edits and approvals from there, and you'll see the approvals that I've already made so far. Once that information gets into time and labor and we're all good with the time cards, I can go ahead as the administrator and begin a payroll lockout. Now, this is optional, but I would recommend this if you are the type of company where like you typically have a lot of supervisors coming to you at the last minute. Hey, I need this time card changed or this and that. Of course, you personally as the administrator, you are going to have the power to continually make those changes right up until payroll is processed and even afterwards as well. Because one of the things that's also unique about Paylocity, we do not charge you per payroll run. We just charge you one time a month for all of your fees total included. So you can run any off-cycle payrolls that you need. So even if it's a mistake that you need to fix right away, hey, this employee should have gotten paid for 3 hours that weren't on their time card. You can go ahead and run a payroll for just that one employee for 3 hours. You can run a payroll every day if you want to, but I don't think a lot of you would want to because payroll is not that fun. But you can begin the payroll lockout and it'll make sure that no changes are made unless they're communicated and made by you so that it doesn't affect your payroll at all while you're going ahead and processing. From there, I can go ahead and move all this time data into payroll once I'm ready, and I've got all that there. Any questions as a whole on time and labor or any of that good stuff before we move into the super fun world of payroll?
Don't everybody ask at once.
No question.
All right.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and get into payroll, and then we'll kind of show some of the fun employee things from there. All right, so from payroll, I'm going to go from payroll pay entry right here, and I'm going to go ahead and create my badge. We will go ahead, for my example, I'm on a weekly pay, but for your example, maybe you're bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly, whatever your payroll dates are, we'll load them into the system for you. But again, I mentioned we don't charge you per payroll run. So if you want to add a one-time check, you're of course able to do so, or you can change the payroll dates. I know some companies will change it for holidays and things like that. So you're more than welcome to do that as well. And then it's going to say, okay, we know we're running this payroll. What type of payroll batch are we running? And again, we don't charge you per batch, so you can run as many as you like. So I know for us at Paylocity, if we were to charge ourselves, we are a bi-weekly payroll company, but we run 5 payrolls a month because we run 1 additional for commission and 1 additional for expense payrolls as well. So, but I can really run whatever I need. I can run a net to gross. I can run an hourly, a bonus, whatever you need, you've got it there. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this regular batch. So now that we know that we want to pay and when we want to pay, what we're paying for, now it's going to ask, okay, who specifically? Who are we paying? Are we looking for a specific department? Maybe we're just doing commissions for sales. I can go ahead and select my sales folks, you know, on the department side, right? Or maybe I'm paying a finance bonus. I can go into my finance branch and I can pay that. So you can kind of select here. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and run for all of my employees. We're going to just run it like we're running a regular weekly payroll here. Of course, I have the ability to override my dates, and then we do have the ability to add text. That text will show up on every single person's check. So this is great for like, hey, just a reminder that next week we'll be paying on Thursday instead of Friday due to the holiday, or just a reminder the commission checks will be out on the 31st. Whatever you want to put here, it'll go ahead and post to all the employees' checks as a notification. Again, same smiley client that I talked about earlier will often put in here like, have a fantastic day, or like whatever. So you can make this as fun or serious as you'd like. But I'm going to go ahead and start the batch and then go ahead and start from there. Because I'm paying everybody, the system is going to go ahead and pull everybody in. So up at the top, I've got my quick pay, where whatever employee I'm clicked on, it's going to show a little bit more detail on their information specifically. And then over on the side here, I'm going to be able to see their full cost center breakdown. Again, we'll move in your cost centers. And then I've got an H for hourly. In my system, I need hours in here to pay this person. And then you'll notice I have some people with some blue check marks. So those are people who are on auto pay, and those are my salaried folks. So for my salaried folks in my system, they don't need to clock in and out to be paid their salary. Maybe in your world they do, and that's okay. I leave that choice up to you. But in my system, this is kind of what it looks like today. So you'll notice for my folks that don't have any hours that have been brought in, they're not going to get paid because they don't have those hours attached. If they did have the hours attached, they'll be paid by the buckets. So for me, I've got my regular, overtime, vacation, holiday, and sick. We can add up to 15 buckets. Hopefully you don't need 15 buckets. That would be a little stressful. But you can also name these buckets whatever you would like. So it doesn't have to be, E overtime or whatever, like I have it in here. If I want to see more details on a specific employee than what I'm seeing at the top, or maybe somebody does come to you and say, hey, I need that time card correction. I'm sorry, can you go ahead and add it now that you're in payroll? I can be nice and fix that for them. So the way that I do that is I just click on that employee's name, and now I'm going to see the full breakdown of everything we're paying them on today. So in this case, I've got some regular, some overtime, some holiday, and then I can add additional buckets. Now in my world in the system, I've got all my earnings showing up with starting with an E. I've got all my deductions starting with a D, and I've got all my tax codes starting with a T. So I've kept it very basic. Maybe in your world it looks a little bit different, and that's okay. This part of the system is going to be totally customizable to you. So I can go ahead and click that additional step that I need. So maybe I need to pay them out on some double time. I can add those hours, I can add the rate codes, I can add the job codes and the department codes so that all of this flows to the GL really seamlessly and everything's fully trackable to my GL. But maybe I don't want to put it all on the same check. Maybe I want to save and add a new check. Again, we're not charging you per check either, so you can add as many checks as you'd like. Some of my clients enjoy this so that, if they are paying maybe a holiday bonus or something like that, along with a regular check, they make sure that it's a separate icon in the person's pay instead of just kind of being lumped in there. So you can absolutely do that here. You can delete their checks, see check details, all that kind of good stuff. But once I've gone through everybody and I'm good with all that information, I'm going to go to batch totals here, and it's going to show me all my folks on auto pay, all the hours that I have in here. So in my case, I haven't had anybody clocking in and out, but for your world, it might look a little bit differently. And then I can go ahead and approve that batch. When you go ahead and approve that batch, what the system is going to do on the back side is it's going to look for things that might be a little weird. So things that it might look for are things like an employee that's being paid and they're listed as a terminated employee, or maybe somebody who's being paid double their normal pay. Now, those two things might go together and make a whole lot of sense because somebody gave you, their 2 weeks and you are wanting to pay them out on that, even though they're terminated now. I leave that choice up to you. But regardless, the system is going to be looking out for those kind of things and giving you some feedback on, hey, I just want to make sure you knew about this. You can approve those and continue to run the batch and move forward, and we're good to go. As far as like a cutoff for payroll hours for us, if you were to do a Friday pay, we give you a little bit of flexibility, and we typically ask for those to be submitted by 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for a Friday guaranteed pay. You can run overnight payroll, so if you wanted to run a payroll on Thursday or something like that, we don't charge you anything additionally for it, but for guaranteed funds from an FDIC banking standpoint, we do request that Wednesday at 8 p.m. Most of the big banks are good with Thursday payrolls as well, but if you have somebody with a mom and pop bank, that's maybe the only area. But I gotta tell you, I've been with Paylocity for 5 years. I have yet to meet somebody who we haven't been able to pay process on a Thursday and pay out on a Friday. So that would be a new one for me. As I'm going in here, so with that, my payroll is going to be paid Any questions before I show you what that paycheck looks like from the employee side?
No questions.
All right, sounds good. With that, I'm going to jump back over to the mobile. You're probably noticing at this point that I keep going back and forth from the mobile and the computer. I want to show you both experiences, but also to show you that one of the things that we've really worked hard on with Paylocity is to bring as much of the computer experience onto the mobile for the employee as possible. And the reason we've done that is because we find that 90% of the time, employees are logging into the mobile versus the web page. Usually our web page is used by the administrators, sometimes the supervisors, but overall just the administrators. So we want to make it as mobile friendly as possible. So with that, of course, I think you could expect for any payroll company to be able to get you to see your pay stub and all that kind of good stuff. So you will get a notification when this is paid. If you're like me, you get paid the same amount every time, but you check it every time just to be safe. So you can kind of see your check detail here. I can also pull year to date and see what I've made so far. But it's going to go ahead and track my rate, all the different accounts. You can have unlimited bank accounts. If you want to put guardrails around the bank accounts with your employees, that's totally up to you. They can have as many as they'd like with us. All of the tax information, employer paid taxes, and then of course it'll have their deductions. We also include an area for their benefits. And the reason why we do this is because we got feedback from our clients that they wanted to share that people are getting more than just their paycheck with the company, especially when you're paying for medical benefits. A lot of times the employer side of that is paying 3 to 4 times as much as what the employee is paying for those benefits. So really being able to put this information together is able to enable that employee with a full picture of the benefits that they're getting just beyond their salary with your company. So we built that in there. This is an optional tool, but I always like to throw it out there. We do have the ability to have on-demand pay as well. We built this by client request, and I have to tell you, when we launched it in 2019, it was not the most popular thing in the world. But as COVID launched, and unfortunately people lost their jobs and things like that, this became a real need for people as they needed quick funds to help get them by. So basically what on-demand pay is the ability to pull a portion of the employee's already earned pay in advance of their paycheck. So let's say somebody is on a monthly paycheck and they get paid at the very end of every single month. Maybe something happens on the 15th, 16th where I need to get surgery for my dog or you know, my car breaks down or something like that, and I need a little bit of funds in advance. This gives me the ability to pull a portion of what I've already earned working with the company. Basically what this works on the back end is Paylocity will go ahead and front the employee that money, cost the employee $1.25 per transaction to pull that amount. Paylocity fronts them the money, and when you process your payroll, just like normal, just like we kind of showed here, the system will go ahead and take back that money to Paylocity that we fronted them. Doesn't make your payroll look any differently, doesn't cost you anything, but gives you a nice benefit to kind of go forward as we kind of start living in this gig economy where people kind of want the money they've earned right now. The main reason we rolled this out is because unfortunately there are a lot of loan companies that are a little bit predatory in the way that they do business. You know, they want to take $10 for every $100 that they give you. So we wanted to give employees and employers another option to get money in advance to help handle the needs that they have. And of course, everything here is fully recordable and fully controllable as well. So you can control how much. Maybe I'm only able to pull $2.25 per paycheck. I leave that up to you, right? Maybe I'm only allowed to pull one time between each paycheck. I again leave that up to you. Just an optional tool that we include for free for all of our clients here. You can see a history of your pay stub. What I love about this is that it avoids door knocks on your guys' door of, hey, can I get that information? You know, I'm buying a new car, I'm renting a new apartment. Those are all really good reasons why they need proof of income. So this gives you the ability to kind of get that information from the employee. They can email these directly to themselves. And then tax forms as well. So they'll get tax forms through their mobile phone. We do have an integration with TurboTax and some other companies. So if your employees are using that, they can literally just import their pay stub and it'll skip all the steps and just kind of get them to that final total. And I don't know about you, but I'm at that time in my life where it's not exciting to go through the steps. I just want to know how much I got to pay and get it taken care of. So it kind of avoids the guesswork and all of that and just kind of lets them confirm everything on the tax side. Any questions on the payroll, the pay side, any of that kind of good stuff?
No questions?
Okay, so where does all this beautiful information go? Well, I've talked a little bit about reporting, but let me go ahead and dive into it a little bit. So here I've got my reporting tab at the top. I mentioned through every piece of the software, you can hit the reporting option at the top and it'll take you to the reporting that's relevant for that area. In this case, I'm just looking at all HR and payroll, and you'll see we've got quite a few reports that you can pull with us. So we've got about 500 reports. But you'll notice that a couple of my reports are standard, a couple are dynamic. So I'll kind of go through the differences there, but also want to show you that I've had the ability to favorite some of my best reports that I love, and those will automatically float to the top. So you don't have to search through the 500 every single time. Your favorites are just going to come straight to the top there. So my standard reports that I have here, I can set these to run, auto run. I can pick them up on a weekly, daily, whatever basis that you'd like. You can do that with the dynamic reports as well, but standard reports are kind of set in stone. You can't really move anything. The report is what it is. It holds the information that it holds. Dynamic reports were something that we built as kind of a half step for our customers because, of course, every system is going to give you the ability to kind of process through a report writer. So we do have a report writer where you're able to kind of pull in whatever fields you want to report on, throw them together, and it'll put together a new report for you. But we have clients say, hey, you know, I like this ACA report, but I want to make just a couple changes to it. I wish it just had a couple different things. With that, I can click the side tab here, and I have the ability to edit this report so that it works for me. So I'll kind of show you what this looks like here. So in this case, I'm happy with a lot of the information that's provided here, but maybe I don't need the person's start date. I just need their effective date. I can go up to the top and I can go ahead and remove this item. And I can keep doing that here. Similarly, maybe I want to add a 401k date, a couple things in here. I can simply click those items and you'll notice there are an endless amount of things that you can report on the side here. And that information is automatically going to go to the back. Then maybe I don't want it in the back. I want to pull it up to the middle or the front or whatever it may be. So with that, I can just grab this guy and drag it up wherever I want him to go. And with that, it's going to go ahead and start changing that report. So instead of starting from scratch and having to rebuild everything through a report writer, now I'm just editing a couple things to make it the right report for me. Once I'm good with this reporting, I can go ahead and apply those changes. It's going to give me a sample, which kind of gives me the opportunity to say, yeah, this looks great, or this actually was not what I wanted. Let me back up and kind of make some changes from there. From there, I can export as I'd like, but I can save the report too. So I can go ahead and save this. In this case, I'm just going to put my initials here. And then with this, I can make it just a report for me, or I can add other individuals to have the ability to see this report, edit it, view it, make it their own. So in this case, I'm doing a view only here, but I can save this report. And now those changes are going to be ready for me. I can set this to run on a schedule. And of course, I've got the trusty Excel or CSV that I can export it to. But we have this available for all of our employees here, or I'm sorry, all of our customers here, so that they kind of have this nice half measure and they don't have to start all the way from scratch.
So Chris, let's play the hypothetical that I have a team meeting that we do monthly and we go through 3 different reports. It's the same report we're going through every time and we're checking in. Do I have to go in and generate this and send this to every employee that is going to be in this meeting, or am I able to get this automatically distributed to each of them before that meeting?
Great question. You can set these up on schedules to run whenever you'd like, and you can share it with other people to run on that same schedule. So a lot of times I'll get that question actually when it comes to like, hey, my CEO requires 5 reports that he wants run on a daily basis, and he wants those to get sent. Now I have an automated way to kind of be that hero and get those 5 reports over to him. Same thing with like a CFO and all that kind of good stuff. So they'll get their report pack every single day without you having to go in and run all those things. I know when I was first starting my first job right outside of college, I had to wake up super early, get to the office super early, and I had to run a bunch of reports at like 6:30 in the morning so they'd be ready for the supervisors to have conversations and look at the reports at 7 a.m. This is a virtual way to do that so that you don't have to wake up early like I used to. It'll just kind of go ahead and send those over to the right people.
So this is Kim. We did get a question in the box. Michelle asks, our current timesheet contains the different budgets an employee works under during their day. They could teach a class, work a day camp, and a birthday party all in the same shift. Would we have the ability to do the same with this so we can budget for the year?
Absolutely. That is a great question. So kind of going back to the homepage here, I have the ability to clock in and clock out, but I also have the ability to transfer. So basically what transfer allows us to do, it only lets me change the jobs that I am allowed to change and work the jobs I'm allowed to work. But let's say I want to log into a birthday party, and this one is a training class, and this one is something else, my regular hours or things like that. I can clock in and out and transfer into different jobs so that in the entirety of the day, I'm making sure it's hitting all the right buckets. And those are all fully mapped back to your GL as well. So it'll kind of tie for those budgeting purposes.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Great question. Thanks for the first question, Michelle. All right, with that, I'm going to take it just a little bit further on reporting for you guys, if that's okay. Hopefully I'm not overwhelming you here. But we had clients that said, hey, I'm running into a meeting real quick. I want to be able to have a quick thing where I can just pull my head count. I can pull my terms. I can pull my growth. And I don't want to have to pull a report every time I need that. I just want to get a quick insight. So for that reason, we built out Data Insights, which is available to all of our customers. So with this, it's automatically going to pull insights from the last year, but maybe I want to edit that. So I'm just pulling for 2023. I go ahead and change the dates and the data changes real time. You'll notice these info tiles that we had in time and labor have made their way back again. Just kind of talking about the same thing of how the system starts to repeat itself throughout the process. Workflows look very similar to onboarding. It really helps with getting the user experience and really making employees and supervisors feel comfortable throughout the system. But let's say, hey, I know I've got 166 employees, but who's included in that? I just simply click it, and then it's going to show me all this information. Again, our trusty Excel is always there as backup, right? But kind of giving you the ability to get out of Excel if you want to, and kind of do that from there. We also have the ability to filter your insights as well. So maybe I only want to see people from a couple cost centers. I can go ahead and apply that, and you'll notice my data changes again. So changes very quickly here, but I can kind of see information by division, branch, department. In this case, I'm just pulling kind of an employment overview. But if you like these dashboards and you say, hey, I kind of want to pull that into my presentation, no worries. I click the side and I can add this as a picture and put it right into my PowerPoint. I can also pull CSV or Excel as well. So it's always there for you, but just kind of gives you an option to get out from behind the Excel if you want to. If I move to like a head count or I want to look at retention information, you'll notice that my date range stays the same from when I moved it originally. So it makes it really easy to now all of a sudden get a very granular view of every portion of my business and all of the processes. One of the things that I like to call, I call this the CFO dashboard, is my labor cost view. So I can see my trends over time. What have been my labor costs? What's my overtime cost specifically? And again, those info tiles making their way back. I can see what is a part of these costs, who is a part of these costs. And then if I scroll down, I can see a breakdown. And you'll notice we have these blue bubbles and these red bubbles. I call these trouble bubbles. So these are our people, our supervisors or our positions that are costing us the highest overtime. Now, maybe there's a very good reason for that, right? Maybe our client trainers are working overtime because it's just that busy time of year, right? Or it could be that maybe Dustin could learn from Darius about how he could move his overtime in a positive direction. The insights are there. What you want to do with them, I leave up to you. But we basically just want to give you the visibility to be able to make real business decisions off of data that you can see very quickly and concisely.
So, Kristen, we've got about 5 minutes left of our allotted time. If I'm someone here who, let's say that I can see a lot of value here and I could see how this could be beneficial, but change is obviously intimidating. And I'm afraid that I'm going to get into this system and I know it's capable of helping me, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to function as quickly as I would need to be. Where do I go if I forget how to do something within our system?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where you can just go right back up to the help tab from the beginning, and you've kind of got those walkthrough guides and insights there. But I also want to say, we know that change is scary, right? When it comes to switching providers, it's certainly not an easy decision or a comfortable decision, but what we find is that with our implementation process, all of our implementation teams have 6+ years of experience of onboarding clients. You're not going to get somebody who's brand new to help you. We really help hold your hand and walk you through every step of the process. And the other benefit too is from a sales perspective, Jim, myself, we're always here as resources for you as well. So we don't leave you through the process. I always like to say, Jim's title is an account executive. My title is the director of sales. So you'll notice that doesn't include new business because I cover all business for Cincinnati and all of Kentucky versus just focusing on the new side. So we do stay with you through that process. I've been with Paylocity for going on 5 years. I have clients that I signed up almost 5 years ago that still reach out to me every once in a while today. Hey, I am interested in maybe adding this. What would this look like? Or, hey, I forgot how to do this. Like, how do I get back there? We're happy to provide that insight for you when needed as well. From a service perspective, we do go on an account manager level. So we do not use a ticketing system. We don't use a call center. You would have a dedicated account manager that's going to help you through everything. Their information will also be available on this help tab under Get Support. So I can always find who I can call. And we work with that account manager. That account manager works with you and also clients that are similar to your size and scope. So we base our teams on NAICS code. You're going to be working with a account manager that's very familiar with your space, whether you're like a nonprofit all the way to like maybe being like a restaurant client or something like that. We have clients of all shapes and sizes, and we welcome them and want to make sure that they're well supported there. So I know we just have a few minutes left. A couple last things I wanted to dive into real quick is kind of some of the things I started out with here. I talked about community, which is our company bulletin board gone virtual. What does that look like here? So you're kind of seeing it here on the mobile. So here I can post announcements. In this case, I posted a benefits announcement. You can take a poll. Hey, where are we getting lunch? Employees, if you'd like them to, have the ability to comment, like posts, things like that. And you can create different groups. So maybe I have serious groups like benefits updates and ask HR, but maybe I have, more fun groups like remote life group for all my remote employees, or, a wellness group. For us at Paylocity, we have like a Dogs of Paylocity group that I'm a part of. And I always say, normally when I first meet somebody, I'm not going to be like, hey, show me a picture of your dog. That's kind of a weird thing to start with. But if I see somebody posting a picture of their dog or something like that, now it sparks a conversation. And I can tell you from my personal life, I work with our implementation teams and their leadership all the time. And I actually found out that an implementation leader that I work with regularly has the same exact breed and type of dogs that I do, just a way to kind of increase that connection with your employees and things like that.
So we did get another question. What business accounting software does this integrate with?
Business accounting software. That's a great question. So when it comes to, like, I'm assuming that's more like GL related or just accounting structure related in general. So we have several partners that we integrate with. And when it comes to, if we don't integrate with them, we can build custom reports in the system that'll seamlessly flow right into your GL. So there's no manual manipulation that you need to go from Paylocity to your accounting system.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, folks, today. Thank you, Kristen and Jim, for your presentation. Really slick. I love the mobile app and online. I think that's next level, really good stuff. And if you have additional questions, you'd like to meet one-on-one with Jim and Kristen, feel free to let us know. We'll connect you with them as soon as possible. And if there were other questions that you had that didn't get answered, that'd be great to connect with Jim, is the Southwest Ohio rep, and we'd love to talk with you more about it. You can give your client advisor a call and let them know, and we'll hook you up from there. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much,
Have a
everybody.
good one, everyone. Thank you. Kim, thank you for the opportunity.